And thank you. We appreciate it. We will all be watching. Want to welcome in commentary editor for the Washington Times, Kelly Sadler, and attorney and Republican strategist, Erin Elmore. I don't know if you saw that James Rosen question, by the way. We don't have time to play it right now because it takes about 2 minutes to play the whole thing in its entirety. Go to our newsmax.com website. Unbelievable question about the whole Hunter Biden situation, which we didn't hear.
No, but we didn't hear from President Biden over the weekend. Does that surprise you? Do you think he should have come out and said something to the public? I know we heard from other folks in the administration, but not from him.
Erin, do they have the technical capabilities to broadcast from Camp David?
I believe that they do, but we already know that Biden isn't one for unplanned conversations with the press. We know that he calls lids very early, but then we have his former press secretary, Jen Psaki, saying he's an early bird, and it never really works the way that we find out. But I do think that we need to hear from the leader of the free world when this is all going on. And the biggest, most saddening point here is that this war was completely avoidable. All Putin wanted, he basically said that the Ukrainians could keep Crimea if we didn't push NATO into his territory and into that area. And that's the hard part here, is because what we are hearing necessarily on TV isn't exactly what you're hearing from foreign policy experts. We're seeing that people are dying senselessly. You see families that are leaving Ukraine as refugees, but the men that are of military age are having to stay. And I just want to know what the outcome is here. What is it going to be? What are we looking for as a nation? Are we just funding the military-industrial complex? Or is this a war that we intend to win for the Ukrainians? We already know that the American people are asking, where is all of this money going?
Yeah.
And as the American public deserves to know, we want that accounting. Where is it going? And we've never seen an accurate accounting of where this money is going. And I think that's the most deeply troubling. And of course, it's hard to see what's going on. And now the mercenaries turning on Vladimir Putin. But I think this is a story that's going to continue to unfold, and we have to continue to watch.
No, I agree with you, Erin. And I think you make a great point. I think this war, I think the worm has turned with the American public when it comes to this war, especially, some of the points that you mentioned there. What I think is interesting here is all of a sudden we're 16 months in, and it's nice to see some kinks in the Putin armor. We've never seen this before. Differences between Zelensky and Putin. Joe Biden, when the invasion began, Putin thought he was going to take Kyiv in 3 days. He said, hey, do you want to ride out of Kyiv? We can get you to safety. And Zelensky, now famously said, no, I don't need a ride. I need ammo. Putin, by the way, you get 4,000 mercenaries on their way to Moscow. They never came within 200 miles of the capital city. And he hightailed it out of there. He went to St. Petersburg. So some serious contrast there in how Putin and Zelensky have handled themselves. You in just a little bit. Up next, first it was golf. Now is tennis about to start a new league funded by Saudi Arabia. Now in this 8-1 Supreme Court vote, which happened as we closed out the week last week, a huge win, by the way, for the Biden administration over immigration laws, which is now going to make it a lot more difficult for border officials to deport illegal migrants who cross illegally. Joining us now for more, former acting CBP Commissioner Mark Morgan and attorney and Turning Point USA contributor Erin Elmore back with us. Great to have you both on. Erin, just run us through, legally speaking, what this ruling means from the Supreme Court.
All right. So it was an 8-1 ruling, which is a significant majority. It was written by Justice Brett Kavanaugh. We all know what he went through during his confirmation hearings. Mm-hmm. And basically, they said that there's a lack of constitutional standing under Article 3 of the Constitution. So basically, Texas and Louisiana don't have the ability to challenge the executive branch. And the only one that dissented was Bush W., who appointed Justice Samuel Alito. And he said, the executive branch of our government is not a king, whereas all of the other justices in their either majority or the concurrence said we don't have the ability to oversee the executive branch.
Yeah.
So this is sort of a technicality, and it's very troubling. And the case that they relied on as precedent is Linda R.S. versus Richard D., which is also a problem because that's a state child support case. Now, Brett Kavanaugh did say, and I quote, the states have not cited any precedent, so there's no history on this, or traditions of courts ordering the executive branch to change or basically to change arrest or prosecution policies.
Okay.
So they made it very technical, but that doesn't change the fact that this is a massive win for the Biden administration. And now there is no place for recourse. So Texas and Louisiana are fending for themselves on the border, period. hard stop.
All right. Thank you for the setup, Erin. Let me bring in Mark. Texas Governor Greg Abbott tweeted immediately after this ruling came down, "This decision is outrageous. SCOTUS just gave the Biden administration carte blanche to avoid accountability." It's tough to stay focused on what's been happening at the southern border because this is nothing new. It's been going on for 2.5 years. Ron DeSantis was down at the border over the weekend. He released a new campaign video. He's going to release his immigration plan in a couple hours. We'll bring you that here today on Newsmax. How does this, Erin, play a role in the fight for the GOP nomination? These candidates are going to have to take the border seriously, aren't they?
They absolutely are. And we even see people in Democrat-led cities like Chicago and New York that are saying enough is enough. We see that migrants right now are sleeping on the doorstep of the Chicago police station because they feel that they are safer there. We saw young children being essentially displaced from their schools in New York City because migrants were living in the gyms. So this could actually be an issue that we get a lot of Democrats to cross over and say, enough is enough. Our cities are being overrun. We're seeing fentanyl pour through the border into every city and every state, causing the loss of life of mothers, daughters, fathers, children. So this could be that big issue that Republicans really need to focus on and say, law and order in this country needs to be restored. We need to secure our border. Enough is enough.
Yeah, great point. Mark, just about 20 seconds, final thought.
Yeah, the video just showing, I think Governor Santos hits it spot on. His policy revolves around the same thing we did on the Trump administration: deterrence, consequences, and put integrity back in the system. And
Erin Elmore, great to have you on. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, lots more.